My name is Samuel Ernest Azuma. I'm from Nigeria and I work in the University of Calabar as a lecturer. Before coming to Korea, like I said, I work as a lecturer, and then I was attached to one of the prominent professors, Professor Idyong, who specializes on research and development. So I was attached to him, and that really gave me the edge over some of my colleagues in my office. And prior to this opportunity to come to Korea to do my master's, I was privileged because of that attachment to attend a couple of conferences and what have you. And specifically, I was engaged, honestly, to do some kind of personal researches. However, prior to my coming here, I did not have that requisite knowledge and technical skills to handle most of the analytical tools, such as the one I am very, a little bit, let me say, intermediate with, the starter. I was using the SPSS and eViews, of which I was not an expert. So upon coming to Korea, I was able to learn a lot in that regard. So while I came to Korea, and what actually prompted me to come to Korea was that it happens that in my organization there's one particular aspect that is really lagging behind, and that aspect is the econometrical handling of econometrical tools like data analysis, econometrical analysis, and what have you. So although the scholarship opportunity was introduced to me by a very close friend of mine, his name is Godin, which I will always thank for that opportunity he gave me to come to Korea. So prior to that, to even apply for the scholarship, I had to prompt myself to study more about Korea and know little things about Korea history and how they were able to drastically move from the least country in the world and to now one of the most developed countries in the world. So that also gave me that inspiration to actually come to Korea to know how they did it and how I can in turn impact that to my country upon my return. So after the application, it wasn't a joke, so to say. It was a tedious process because my state was like more than 1,000 kilometers from the capital. So I had to transport myself from time to time to go submit the required documents and go for interview and what have you. But in summary, it was actually worth it because at this point, I can beat my chest that as far as this program is concerned, I am fulfilled in this regard in terms of the use of analytical tools and what have you. So coming to Korea was an interesting thing because when the staff in charge of the scholarship process tested me and told me that Ernest Samuel Azuma, you've been given the opportunity to go to Korea to fulfill your dreams. And she didn't directly tell me that I have won the scholarship. She told me that I was coming to Korea to fulfill my dreams. It was as if she knew. So that has been my dream. One of my dreams was to get to the peak of my academic ladder, which is to be a professor in the future, alongside with other things I want to do. So upon coming to Korea, initially I found it a little bit difficult to acclimatize to the weather condition and the culture a little bit, as well as the food. So my reasoning then was that maybe since I'm not used to this Korean food, when I take it, it will react to my system and cause me diarrhea. But the reverse was the case, because reaching here, we were mandated to be quarantined for 14 days. So which means that we were not allowed to go anywhere. but I made sure that I consumed every bit of the food they gave to us then, and unfortunately nothing happened. That was when I realized that it may not necessarily be because of the nature of the food. It may be because of maybe the ingredients they use in preparing a particular meal that causes diarrhea. So after the quarantine and days, we arrived the dormitory on the 18th of August 2021, where we were given our rooms to stay. Then before you know what happened, the winter period, which I have never experienced in my life before. And that was my first time. The first time I saw snow, I was marveled. In fact, I was flabbergasted. I was marveled. I said, oh God, what an experience. So going through what I have, as in what will always be ingrained in my mind while I was in Korea, or while I've been in Korea for this long, is actually, to be honest, the academic facilities and also the way of life of the Koreans. It is, let me talk about the academic facilities and the way they approach the course curriculum in general. The professors here are a little bit different from my professors back home, because my professors back home, they try as much as possible to give you all the bulky materials to study, of which I don't think it was really an effective and efficient method of teaching and learning. So but here the professors make sure that they take everything stepwise. For instance, before in one of the courses we offered here, which was econometrics. So the professor initially started with the theoretical aspect of it and the preliminaries in general. So afterwards, they then approached the practical aspect by offering us lectures on how to handle the analytical tool, that is analytical package, which is the starter we use for our thesis data analysis. So that really distinct, as in had a very indelible mark in my heart, because I was then thinking, could it be because of the inadequate facilities back home that warranted the inefficiencies in disseminating information to the students in order for them to assimilate and understand, or could it be just because of the system? So I was thinking a lot about it. So in that regard, I would say, compared to my lecturing system, which I know that it could be because of the inadequate facilities, these lecturers over here are kind of better in terms of the way and the method of delivering lectures. They took it from the preliminary stage to the complex stage, and that helps you because when you do that, it helps to develop your mind. Yes, as a lecturer, I know that concept, because it helps to actually develop your mind when you start from the little ones, as in the simplest one or the simplest concept, and take it to the complex one. Because when you get the preliminaries, you'll be able to get yourself used to the complex one. So that particular method is what I must go back home and inculcate in my organization as a lecturer. And more so, prior to my coming here, I really did not fancy this particular analytical package. I'm saying a lot about this academic aspect because that is my profession. That is what I do. So I was not really conversant with that analytical tool or package, that is starter. So I was then using SPSS. So when I came here and I was taught on how to use it, and even induced to work independently by watching a lot of videos, YouTube videos, and what have you, to get ourselves acclimatized with the method and the different tools in using that package. It is really something that is ingrained in me, which I may not even forget again. So that is a very big thank you to the lecturers that are here. And talking about the industrial aspect, one of my professors always say, I always call him daddy, and that is Professor Shin. he told us, he told us that when you look around Korea, you find out that there is no conspicuous, like a very obvious natural resource, but Korea has been able to develop herself to this point in terms of economic development. So what they do, well, what I saw after our field trips, because we went to various field trips, went to various farms, smart farms, went to various marketing and production factories and industries. So after the field trips, I got to realize that Korea, what they actually used in achieving that was 4 major things, upon which I would say it is: one, they try as much as possible to judiciously use what they have to get what they don't have. And apart from that, there's what I saw, and I think that is very paramount to enhance efficiency in every work or every organization, and that is love among themselves, and above all, the love for their country, and also their diligence. So there's this popular saying in Korea that I happen to learn, and they always say it: "Pali pali shigani opsoyo." There's no time, so you have to try as much as possible to put your best in what you do to achieve, whether being supervised or not. When you give a Korean a job to do, whether supervised or not, he or she is going to devote his or herself to make sure that he or she achieve effective and efficient level of that work done. So that is one thing I also learned, and above all, honesty. So these are the 4 things: efficient utilization of what you have to get what you don't have, love for one another, respect for one another and the country, and hard work. I cannot put that aside. So that is a very important point to me. So that only changed my mentality on how I think about my life and my career goals, honestly. Because before coming here, I was thinking that when I'm done with my master's, I'll probably go to my organization and continue as just a regular lecturer and progress from doctor to PhD and just be a lecturer. But actually, after coming to Korea and after engaging in all these activities, both academic activities and social activities, I found out that it's not just a rectilinear thing, like what you just go your career. You have to diversify your capabilities so that you'll be all-rounded. At present, I do not just want to be a lecturer, a regular lecturer. I want to involve myself in ODA. I want to involve myself in a research institution. I want to also involve myself in other kind of marketing and distribution businesses. Yes, which of course I have little bit done a background research on the business I want to engage in upon my returns. So that is that regarding the industrial aspect of Korea and what I have learned in terms of that aspect. But when it comes to the social aspect, there's one thing I love so much in terms of socialization. I love this sport so much that I can't do without it, and that is football, soccer. So the first day we arrived, the dormitory, I had to trace where they play football, and fortunately for me, that also helped me, because so far so good, I was able to make a lot of Korean friends, and I've been able to learn a lot from them, not just the academic aspect of it, but in terms of other things, like in terms of being very punctual and very time conscious. Yes, Korea tells you that we have a meeting at 4. Don't come there a minute before 4, or come there a minute after 4. So you have to be very time conscious, and that has really also helped me in achieving some of my specific goals while here in Korea. Because like before then, I have this weakness per se in terms of procrastination. I would say, Ernest, you have to do this now. I say, okay, you can do it tomorrow, there's still time. But after coming to Korea, I found out that when you set your goal, do this thing now, do it now. And after doing it, you have a sigh of a very big relief that, I have achieved. And that has also helped me. I also learned a lot of their cultural aspect, because almost after every football match, after every soccer match, we do go to shakedown, that is restaurant, to eat together. I also find out that there's nothing like togetherness. That is the love. They eat together, they discuss together. Afterwards, because most of them were an undergraduate students in my department, agriculture and resource economy. So sometimes when we are reading together, when they don't understand a particular concept, I try as much as possible to explain to them. So upon my, after this program, what I really want to do is a very big goal to me, because after learning a lot from Korea, academic-wise, industrial-wise, social-wise, and what have you, upon going back to my country, upon arrival, what I need to do is to try as much as possible. Like I earlier said, that my organization, that is Department of Agricultural Economics in the University of Calabar, is really lagging behind in terms of analytical aspect of data, complex data, of which I've been able to gain that knowledge here. So what I need to do is to go back there and try as much as possible to inculcate that, and also try as much as possible, because knowledge is power, to address the students, use this method of learning and teaching, that is teacher-student relationship, inculcate it in them and see how, which I know that it will improve them from where they are at present to where they want to be in the future. So my very big thanks goes to the KOICA itself, because that is the point that brought me here. So KOICA giving me that opportunity is something I will not take for granted, and I really appreciate that I was given that opportunity to come here. And also my organization for even allowing me to come is another big deal, because in some organization you may apply for a leave, they won't allow you. For them to have even allowed me to come after being given the opportunity by KOICA is another big achievement to me. So upon coming here, Professor Shin, which I call my daddy, I always call him that, I cannot appreciate him a lot. Alongside other professors, Professor Lee Ji-yeon, my present HOD, who happens to be my supervisor, and other respective professors. Their impact in my life generally, of which will indirectly affect the lives of my people back home, is not taken for granted. I really appreciate. More so, I cannot forget the administrative team, who have been so hardworking to see that everything worked perfectly. And also you, who is here, I really thank you very much for devoting your time and resources to see that this program go through successfully. Kamsahamnida.